How's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
Thursday night spitball, and well and truly prepared, as you can see.
I've got little bits of envelope here that I'm going to use as a spitball
You could just
bits.
spit.
I could just spit at things.
That's right.
That'll
Lukey sesh.
that'll be good.
Well, while you prepare your, I don't know, dry
I've got
spitballs,
my bits.
I'll go. I'll go ahead and throw mine. Anyway, once again,
All right.
welcome to Thursday Night Spitball, everybody. We've had a great week. We had Brian Trenchard Smith on our Tuesday night video, and he was also on our show on Monday. So go back and have a listen to that if you haven't already. But we're here to throw some wet, juicy wads. And
Wet and juicy wads.
We're gonna do. Let's try going for two each. Oops, the first one missed. Hang on, try again. I'll go for the Blu-rays instead. Boom. Well, that landed on Hoffa, the Jack Nicholson film directed by Danny DeVito.
That goes for like 3 or 4 hours. Is that right? 3 hours, I think it is.
Nah, it's about. I think it's 2.5, maybe 150 minutes. But
yeah, it doesn't feel like a 180-minute tape when you steal it from the video store, but
it's
close.
a good film. I watched this one very recently with Keith Schultz, actually, because we both went to watch The Irishman and decided that, heck, let's go back and revisit the other film about Hoffa. And you know what? There is so much in this film that is in The Irishman. It is uncanny how similar these films are. And
really? Because I thought I did the same thing, and I was like, where's The Irishman in this?
No, I to the contrary for me, like I was watching, even like we were talking to each other going, wow, that's like so similar. There's a lot of differences, of course, but a lot of the mannerisms and
I meant the story, the characters and stuff.
Well, yeah, it's a different story, but there's a lot of I'm trying to articulate how we were having a conversation when we watched it, but the cocksucker, I'll tell you what, that was spot on. Both films, I'm like, man, that guy really did enjoy the whole cocksucker thing. Like, but
like receiving or just using or
I will go so far as to say I think Jack Nicholson was a better Hoffa than Al Pacino. And I remember thinking at the time, they've spent all this money on The Irishman, and yet Hoffa, this little film, pulled it off at a fraction of the price.
Oh, I thought Hoffa had quite a large budget at the time.
No, at the time. But there's no doubt Irishman is more expensive than nearly every movie around.
But Danny DeVito was a lot smarter than Martin Scorsese in that he cast people that were age appropriate instead of going, let's spend a couple of $1 billion on de-aging.
That does not change. That does not change what I just said, though. Like, for a fraction of the price, I think Danny DeVito pulled off a much better film.
But I'm saying that how much of the budget went to de-aging? Like, if Danny DeVito had decided to de-age Jack Nicholson using CGI, how much would that have inflated the budget for Hoffa?
It doesn't matter because the fact remains that he did use all that money as part of his production, Scorsese that is, and therefore unnecessary. He should have just cast younger actors in the younger roles, or de-age them with prosthetics and makeup. Don't go fucking digital. That was the biggest problem I had with The Irishman. Jarring.
Yeah, it's a bit silly.
Anyway,
it's a bit silly casting a bunch of geriatrics to do action scenes.
One thing I recommend...
Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and stuff, but I think their time for muscling men out of grocery stores and kicking the crap out of them on the streets, like that's over. And I love Dirty Grandpa, and De Niro is hilarious in that, and he seems to be able to lift people over his head. And but it's like watching. Was it Rocky? Was it Rocky Balboa?
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah,
where they decide that he can't compete with speed, so he just has to compete with strength, just pure muscle. And that's Robert De Niro. Like, he could have just, he doesn't have the flexibility in the hips to kick the crap out of anyone anymore.
I would, just before we move on to the next one, I would say that the Blu-ray for Hoffa, the introduction menu at the start of it is one of the best I've ever seen. It's
Does it
got
have
Danny.
a girl dancing around in a leotard?
Well, second best. But it's got like the Fox Searchlight logo, but Danny DeVito is inside it, like it's almost 3-dimensional, and he comes out of the O, and he says, "Hey everybody," and he goes, "Welcome to the Hoffa menu," and he's dancing and stuff. It's great. Goes for about 2 minutes. It's hilarious.
When I was putting together the Cherry 2000 Blu-ray that never happened, I actually got Tim Thomason to record a bunch of little audio grabs that we could, like, kind of lines from the movie that we could insert in.
Yep.
You know, you got to pay attention to your fitness and all this kind of stuff that we could use in the menu. Like if people took too long in selecting, like play or whatever it is. Like, and if you press play, he would say all these bits. Like that's the best part of it. That's the best thing about Cop Out, the Kevin Smith movie, is not the film, is the interactive Kevin Smith in the Blu-ray where he comes out and just goes, "This part, this was shit. There's Bruce Willis was an asshole in this bit." Like he does all of the bits. That's what's great about it.
Oh, mate. All right. You want to hurl your
turn?
your pebble?
It's a bit of Australia Post. Bit of an Australia Post envelope.
Free plug. It's going to take you about a week to get to the DVDs.
I think it will go all right. Yeah, it throws okay. That he landed hard in the Clint Eastwood section of my DVD library with Heartbreak Ridge.
Oh, the war film.
The war film where he plays Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Highway, who gets seconded back to his old recon unit to teach a bunch of idiots, including, I think, Mario Van Peebles.
I love Mario Van Peebles.
He's great. He gets his earring ripped out by Clint Eastwood. It's a great film.
You're going.
I'd say it's 90 minutes of Clint Eastwood finding new ways to call people gay. or
I go through Clint Eastwood phases all the time, and I always look at that one and think, that's next, and I just never get to it.
It is one of my, along with the two Any Which Way movies.
That's twice in 2 weeks you've mentioned that.
I mentioned those, but those are my go-to. Those three films are my go-to, more so than Dirty Harry or any of that kind of stuff. They're my go-to Clint Eastwood. Like, Unforgiven is a great one to watch, but for me, I have to want to watch Unforgiven, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Heartbreak Ridge and those movies, you can just kind of scan through and just find your favorite moments. And Heartbreak Ridge it's almost impossible to do it because it is one great bit after another. Like it's Clint Eastwood, in his form. It's like people calling Clint Eastwood old, and Clint Eastwood showing them that they don't know what old is because he's going to be doing this in 20 years later. He's still going to be doing the same shit. But he's just awesome. It's just such a good movie.
I feel that way about High Plains Drifter. That's one of the Clint Eastwood ones I go to more than most of the others.
Which is High Plains Drifter? No,
he's a bad guy. He paints the town red.
Red and says "Welcome to Hell." Yeah.
Yes, but I love it because he's an anti-hero. He comes into town. He's an absolute asshole. And just hurts people. Like he's got no there's no driving force behind it. He's just like a man with no name type of character that is just a bad guy. And yet we side with him the whole way. These are nice people in this town. Like they are actually decent people, and he's the arsehole that we're supposed to champion. Anyway, I've got to lean over to get another spitball because I used up all my paper.
All your spit?
No, all my tissue.
Hit you.
All right. Which way am I going? I'm going to go for the
Go to the bus stop and don't wear any underwear. Maybe we'll come up to you. I know
I would. That's disgusting. All right. I have landed on a movie that was my number one film of, was it 2016? It was Everybody Wants Some. The spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused by Richard Linklater.
I have not seen this. I was so jazzed, like so incredibly jazzed to see it. And Jarrett went to see it and he came back saying it's excellent.
Yep.
And I I went out, I bought the Blu-ray when it came out. I missed it at the cinemas. I bought the Blu-ray, and it has just sat there. I haven't watched it.
I have watched it several times. Seen it at I think it was the Melbourne International Film Festival for the first time. Blew my mind. I kind of came away from it going, I think that's my number one film of the year. And then, however many weeks or months later, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely solid number one. I like it more than Dazed and Confused, which a lot of people take me to town over or take me to task over. But, screw them.
I do love that film.
It's a great film. It is a great film. But I don't know what it is about this one. I think I prefer the era that they're depicting. I just prefer that it's more contemporary in the way it feels and looks. Like he's a much more sophisticated filmmaker now.
I get the impression that it is a Animal House, but like a modern, not as out comedy as
it is a frat house. It is a frat house film, but it's broken into blocks where the set pieces of the film are a different party that they go to. So they go to one party, another party, and each of those parties or discos is themed. So one is like they go to a country club, like a country disco. So they're all wearing the boots and the Stetson hats, doing the boot scoot. And then another one is they go to a discotheque. So they're on roller skates and there's disco balls. So every kind of, set piece has a theme, and I really enjoy that. Really enjoy that. But what I like most about it is one of the opening sequences has all of these characters in the one car driving along singing to Rapper's Paradise. I think that's what it's called. I said hip it to the hip it to the
hip up, don't stop, yeah.
But what I love about it is
they play beat.
They play the entire song. It's not like they play 30 seconds of it and then fade. It's the entire song, because you get to about a minute in and you're like, they're going with it. Like they're actually. What is he gonna? Is he gonna cross dissolve to another scene? Nah, they play the whole song and you're just sitting there singing along with them. It's so good.
I am Wonder Mate, and I'd like to say hello.
That's it.
That's why I always get tripped up after that bit. But
and I don't know if it's the same with you, but in movies when they sing along to music in a car, it's completely infectious. I could watch that shit all day. I don't know why. And this movie is great with that.
Any movie where they sing along, like, when they do the Starland vocal band Skyrockets in Flight in Anchorman, like you're like right there with it. Yeah. You're like, and you do want them to come in and do the after the break. Like you want that.
Damn straight.
You want to complete it.
All right. Your turn. You're up next.
All right, my turn. Actually, I don't know if I've talked about this one already on a show. Private Lessons. Have I talked about this one already?
I think we've talked about it, whether it was on the videos or not.
On the video thing with Sylvia Kristel.
May have.
It's a phenomenal film. If like there's an unofficial sequel to it called They're Playing with Fire with Sybil Danning, because if you've got to top Sylvia Kristel, who do you get? Well, Sybil Danning at the time was the top. But it's about this kid. I think his name's Philby, or he's got some stupid name. But he's a rich kid, and his dad is never around. His dad's always off on business meetings and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And he's got a kind of this butler who has to look out for him, but the butler kind of hates him, like despises him, and he hates being a butler. And it's Howard Hessman from Dr. Detroit and Head of the Class, and all that kind of stuff. And he hires a new maid to clean up the house, and the maid is played by Sylvia Kristel, and of course she's gorgeous and always finds weird excuses to accidentally flash poor little 16-year-old or 17-year-old Philby, who then basically she seduces him. I think I can't remember how they end up in bed, but while they're banging away, she has a heart attack and dies, like on top of him, kind of thing. Yeah. And so then Howard Hessman helps him hide the body, but then basically blackmails him into so he has to do all the butler's work and stuff like that, and has to give him all his money and everything, and then and it kind of goes on from there, and there's a twist and all that sort of stuff. But it's a pretty good film. Like it was like a late night Channel 9 movie that I would have watched as a kid, and then tracked it down on that particular copy. There was Umbrella had released it on DVD. I think I've seen it, but I'm not so sure now. It's I can't remember what the guy's name. He's not on the cover. The kid, I don't know what his name is.
Oh well,
But
that's
he's in the second one. That one came out on a CIC sell-through tape,
yes.
and then Palace released their Playing with Fire in one of their big box black kind of cases. And in that one, he's a university student, because in this one he's a high school student.
Yeah, right.
And in They're Playing with Fire, he's a university student, and his college professor, his sexy college professor, played by Sybil Danning, seduces him. And then there's but then she sets him up, I believe. She wants to kill her husband. She kind of sets him up to be the fall guy for that murder. Like
Mate,
it's really dark for sex comedies.
what a time to be alive back then.
Because I mean, they'd be 80s films, I reckon. Late 70s, early 80s movies.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Classics.
All righty. Well,
no hot chili, but close.
Very close. Well, that's about it for Spitball. Been fun.
Sweet.
All right. Catch you all next week, and I'll see you on Monday, mate.
See you on Monday.